What did Voltaire say about Christianity? What happens when faith collides with reason, when the ancient strongholds of divine belief are met by the sharpened blade of Enlightenment skepticism? In the age of kings and cathedrals, few dared challenge the authority of the Church. And yet, one man did. François-Marie Arouet, better known to the world as Voltaire. A wit, a rebel, a legend. In today's episode of Chronicles of Legends, we uncover the daring truths behind Voltaire's war with Christianity, his views on Jesus, and why his voice still echoes through the corridors of modern thought. Let us begin. The 17th and 18th centuries were not kind to the free thinker. To question God was to invite damnation. To question the Church was to invite death. The Catholic Church stood like an immovable tower in Europe, ruling over the minds, bodies, and souls of men. But the Enlightenment brought fire. Voltaire, born in 1694 in Paris, entered a world where ideas were dangerous. He would become one of the most eloquent and relentless critics of religious orthodoxy Europe had ever seen. But before we go further, we must understand something about Voltaire. He was not an atheist. Voltaire believed in God, but not a God of miracles, salvation, or divine intervention. He was a deist, one who saw God as a cosmic architect, a distant watchmaker who created the universe and then retreated, allowing the laws of nature and reason to govern it. To Voltaire, this creator was not listening to prayers. He was not sending angels or saving souls or punishing sin. Voltaire once said, "If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him." But the God he spoke of was rational, not biblical. This deist belief led him to see Christianity not as divine revelation, but as a human invention shaped by politics, power, and fear. Voltaire's battle with Christianity was not against Jesus the man, but against the institution that claimed to represent him. He saw the Catholic Church, especially in France, as an empire of superstition, violence, and hypocrisy. Inquisition, censorship, torture, burnings at the stake. These were not the acts of divine love. To Voltaire, they were crimes against humanity and against reason. He called the Church l'infâme, the infamous one, and with that he declared his war cry, "Écrasez l'infâme," crush the infamous thing. This phrase wasn't just rhetoric, it was a philosophy, a mission. Voltaire believed that religion, as wielded by institutions, had become a tool for oppression. It shackled the mind, punished curiosity, and blinded people with myth and dogma. Here is where Voltaire's critique sharpens. He did not believe Jesus was divine, nor did he believe Jesus was sent to forgive humanity's sins. In Voltaire's view, the very premise of salvation, the idea that humanity must be redeemed through the blood of a God, is irrational and morally grotesque. He asked, why would a just God create humanity flawed, then demand blood sacrifice for their redemption? He wrote, "The religion of Christ is a sublime one, but the religion about Christ is a monstrous invention." To Voltaire, Jesus may have been a wise teacher, perhaps even a moral reformer, but not the Son of God. The miracles, fabricated, the resurrection, a myth, the divine birth, impossible, and most importantly, irrelevant to morality. He believed that ethics and reason were sufficient to guide human behavior. You didn't need fear of hell or promises of heaven. You only needed clarity, justice, and compassion. Why then did Christianity persist? Voltaire's answer was chilling: control. He saw Christianity, especially as institutionalized by the Catholic Church, not as a path to truth, but a mechanism of social obedience. Priests and kings were allies. Together they taught the poor to accept suffering, to be meek, to obey. God has made them high and low, they said, and you must stay where you are. Voltaire despised this. He believed religion was often used to justify injustice, to keep the masses in ignorance, to shield the powerful from accountability. To quote him, "Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities." Voltaire's writings were banned, his books were burned, he was exiled more than once, but he never stopped writing. His wit was unmatched, his irony cut like a blade, and his courage legendary. He defended victims of religious persecution. He challenged corruption in both church and state. And he inspired generations of freethinkers, philosophers, and revolutionaries. Even today, his words ring with clarity. It is dangerous to be right when the government is wrong. He died in 1778, but not before witnessing the rise of the Enlightenment, an age of reason he helped ignite. Voltaire was no saint, he had flaws. He was sometimes inconsistent and not always kind in his judgments. But he was unafraid. He dared to ask the questions others would not. He dared to challenge the powers others bowed before. In a time when the church held the keys to both heaven and hell, Voltaire dared to say, "Think for yourself." So what did Voltaire say about Christianity? He said, "Let truth rise even when it burns. Let reason guide even when it offends. And let no man, however holy, stand between you and the courage to question." This has been Chronicles of Legends. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and above all, keep thinking.